Hello kitties, it's terrible triple feature time again. I hope everybody had a pleasant St. Patrick's Day. I know I did a lot of drinking, and I discovered the recipe for making homemade shamrock shakes. So fuck you, McDonald's, and all your broken shake machines. Mmm. Oh, it tastes like delicious minty copyright infringement. Mmm. Numbers. So, continuing with Val Kilmer month, this week it is Val Kilmer tortures people in the name of science. That's right, 3 different movies in which Val Kilmer does horrible, horrible things to people in the hopes of, bettering the individuals or mankind as a whole. And this is the first triple feature where I really think you guys owe me a little bit, because I've watched, well, just a lot more direct-to-video Val Kilmer movies than anyone ever should in their entire lives. These are, portly, long-haired Val, past his prime, and I mean, the sad thing is, you can tell he even realizes how bad he's slumming it. I mean, this is the guy who's in fucking Top Gun, for God's sake. Just a shame. So, either way, this week's our menu includes Mindhunters, Chaos Experiment, also known as Steam Experiment. I wonder what it's about. And The Thaw. Now, Mindhunters, despite what I said earlier, wasn't actually direct-to-video. It just felt like it was direct-to-video because it came and it went. Val Kilmer plays a trainer of FBI profilers, think Clarice Starling or Will Graham in the Hannibal Lecter movies. And he's running a training scenario on a secluded island to see who really is the best of the best of the best. And it kind of plays out like 10 Little Indians. You don't really know who is the one actually killing everybody off until the very end. Not because they were, the writers were particularly clever, but because they, just kept going, oh, wait, everything you know is wrong. No, everything you thought you knew was wrong was, in fact, you are still wrong. Here's the answer. And it's it's not particularly satisfying. Plot-wise, if you look at it like I look at most movies as, slashers waiting to happen and or slashers not realizing they're slashers, it's actually not that bad. It's directed by Renny Harlin, so there's a bit of visual flair. Renny Harlin, famous, sweet Finnish. Pretty sure he's Finnish. Finnish director, who made Nightmare on Elm Street Part 4, The Dream Master, Die Hard 2, Die Harder, and my personal favorite of the bunch, Deep Blue Sea. Remember? Smart Sharks. That was in the Samuel L. Jackson wearing other people's clothing triple feature. The cast is not necessarily B-movie all-stars, it's kind of a cornucopia, because Christian Slater is in it, Johnny Lee Miller of Trainspotting, and currently the pseudo-Sherlock Elementary fame. LL Cool J, that girl from Cold Case, Patricia Velasquez from the Mummy movies, Eon Bailey, who, I always thought he was going to turn into something, but not so much. Clifton Collins Jr., and some English dude. Yeah. The real, oddly enough, the real standout was LL Cool J, who, don't get me wrong, it's not that I don't like him, it's just, he really just took over the movie action-wise. There's this part where he's got to escape a trap by, he can't touch the floor because it's wet and electrified, so he has to make his way to the circuit breaker somehow. So what he does is he shoots holes in the walls that he can then punch or kick into bigger holes that he can climb his way across. And it's really something. Yeah, it's not surprising that he's this badass in the movie because Rennie Harlan had worked with him earlier in Deep Blue Sea, where he was equally badass as the cook who would not die in his own oven. So, I give it a meh. Not a good movie, but for usually our purposes, for bad movie triple features, it's kind of entertaining. And it's definitely the most entertaining of today's. Everything kind of keeps going downhill from there, starting with Chaos Experiment, aka Steam Experiment. Val Kilmer plays a guy named Jimmy Pettis, who may also be somebody else, who may also be a scientist, who may also be a crazy person once again. No, you don't know what's going on, and what you think you know is not what you think you know. Either way, Val Kilmer wants everybody to understand the dangers of global warming and what's in store for us if we don't change our ways right fucking now. So he picks the most logical scientific way to prove this by locking 6 people in a steam room until they die. Science, everybody. It's weird. It follows sort of. It works off of the model started with Mindhunters, where you have very little actual Val Kilmer in the film. Uh, he has almost no interaction with the 6 people in the steam room, but we're constantly cutting back to him and Armand Asante doing his Columbo impression, trying to get to the bottom of the situation. So it kind of feels like 2 different movies sandwiched together, neither of which are particularly interesting. So it's like you just have to keep chewing and re-chewing your food, but in a bad way. Highlights: there's some boobs. Uh, Val goes pretty nuts by the end of it. Eric Roberts with his shirt off, I guess. That's about it. It was really boring. Nah, I still got nothing. Really boring. Marginally less boring is our third film, The Thaw, which, again, Val Kilmer, very little in the film. Once again, a scientist trying to teach everyone the error of their environmental ways by infecting them, or not infecting, infesting them with prehistoric bugs. See, he's a glacial archaeologist, paleontologist type. It's very, very vague. And they discover a woolly mammoth with these really angry, swarmy, infect your own skin type of bugs. So, of course, he wants a young group of college students to come visit, get infested, and then go back to the world and, unleash the biblical plague we so deserve. It's kind of notable for being very, very Canadian in terms of casting. Gary Chalk and William B. Davis have like little cameos. Aaron Ashmore, brother of Sean Iceman Ashmore, is in it. The guy that played the head psychiatrist in Freddy vs. Jason is in it, and a perennial favorite of Canadian supernatural television, Kyle Schmid, is in it as well. So it was just kind of it was almost like a little neon sign saying "eh" next to the casting director's name. It feels like it was written by somebody that had been playing a lot of Silent Hill or Resident Evil or some other survival horror video game. And wait, no, that's giving them too much credit. It feels like somebody was in the room of somebody else playing a survival horror game and every so often took notes and or lifted actual dialogue. Not helping this is our lead actress being played by technically a 25-year-old, but physically and voice-wise something around 11 years old. Very, very poor film. Val, not in it. even as much as he was in the Steam experiment, or I'm sorry, Chaos experiment, depending on the day. But Val actually looked pretty good. He got himself a little, he got the gut kind of in control, the face was a little bit more under control, and he cut his goddamn hair, which, is always a plus. But it's basically a low rent version of The Thing with bugs. So it's like Bug and The Thing. Not particularly interesting, but I did notice something, and it's a trend that's can been growing. It's just guys, and by guys I mean horror movie makers. If you're gonna show a sex scene, you gotta show the girl's boobs. I'm honest. I'm trying to put this as as least sexist as I can. But what is the point of the sex scene if we're not going to get the exploitive elements, namely the actual naked girl? I don't need to see the dude's back. And as my Tumblr followers will attest, I'm a guy that likes looking at naked men. But we need the whole package. What is it? Just I was very confused and or annoyed by it. It's like, oh, here, sex scene that goes on for like 3 or 4 minutes. No real nudity in it. So it's just like, it's a horror movie, so what's the point of this in it? We don't even need this scene. It could have just been a scene of, the two characters cuddling, going to bed, and it would have been fine. It just, don't get me excited if you're not going to pay off. Horror movies, take notes about that. It's, I'll forgive you these first couple of times, but not forever. So, Val Kilmer doing horrible things to people in the name of science and or personal growth. Mindhunters, Chaos Experiment, The Thaw. Go online. You can find cheap and easy ways of making a shamrock shake. That way you don't get turned down by McDonald's twice in one night at 2 different McDonald's. And I hope everybody had a St. Patty's Day. Remember, we Irish people do more than just drink. So, try to remember that for next St. Patrick's Day when you defame an entire country, people. We Irish are not all alcoholics, but it doesn't hurt to have alcohol around when you're watching a lot of Val Kilmer movies, which I have been. Ugh.